The Statue of Zeus at Olympia. The statue of Zeus at Olympia was a giant seated figure about 13 meters tall, made by the Greek sculptor Phidias around 435 BC at the sanctuary of Olympia, Greece. Erected in the Temple of Zeus, a sculpture of ivory plates and gold panels over a wooden framework represented the god Zeus sitting on an elaborate cedar wood throne ornamented with ebony, ivory, gold, and precious stones. One of the seven wonders of the ancient world, it was lost and destroyed during the 5th century AD with no copy ever being found, and details of its form only are known from ancient Greek descriptions and representations on coins. The statue of Zeus was commissioned by the Eleans, custodians of the Olympic Games, in the latter half of the 5th century BC, for their recently constructed Temple of Zeus. Seeking to outdo their Athenian rivals, the Eleans employed the renowned sculptor Phidias. Phidias, who had previously made the massive statue of Athena Parthenos in the Parthenon. The great seated statue, as fashioned by Phidias, occupied half of the width of the aisle of the temple built to house it. It seemed that if Zeus were to stand up, the geographer Strabo noted early in the 1st century BC, he would unroof the temple. The Zeus was a chryselephantine structure made with ivory and gold panels on a wooden substructure. No copy in marble or bronze has survived, though there are recognizable but only approximate versions on coins of nearby Elis and on Roman coins and engraved gems. In the 2nd century AD, the geographer-traveler Pausanias gave a detailed description. The statue was crowned with a sculpted wreath of olive sprays and wore a gilded robe made from glass and carved with animals and lilies. In its right hand was a small chryselephantine statue of crowned Nike, goddess of victory. Its left hand held a scepter inlaid with many metals supporting an eagle. The throne featured painted figures and wrought images and was decorated in gold, precious stones, ebony and ivory. Zeus's golden sandals rested upon a footstool decorated with an Amazonamachy in relief. The passage underneath the throne was restricted by painted screens. Pausanias also recounts that the statue was kept constantly coated with olive oil to counter the harmful effect of the ivory caused by the marshiness of the Altis grove. The floor in front of the image was paved with black tiles and surrounded by a raised rim of marble to contain the oil. The reservoir acted as a reflecting pool which doubled the apparent height of the statue. According to the Roman historian Livy, the Roman general Aemilius Paulus, the victor over Macedon, saw the statue and was moved to his soul as if he had seen the god in person. While the 1st century AD Greek orator Dio Chrysostom declared that a single glimpse of the statue would make a man forget all of his earthly troubles. According to the legend, when Phidias was asked what inspired him, whether he climbed Mount Olympus to see Zeus or whether Zeus came down from Olympus so that Phidias could see him, the artist answered that he portrayed Zeus according to Book 1, verses 528 through 530 of Homer's Iliad. He spoke the son of Cronos and nodded his head with the dark brows, and the immortally anointed hair of the great god swept from his divine head, and all Olympus was shaken. The sculptor was reputed to have immortalized Pantarches, the winner of the boys' wrestling event at the 86th Olympiad, who said to have been his beloved Eromenus by carving Pantarches Caelus, Pantarches is beautiful, into the Zeus's little finger, and by placing a relief of the boy crowning himself at the feet of the statue. According to Pausanias, when the image was quite finished, Phidias prayed the god to show by a sign whether the work was to his liking. Immediately, runs the legend, a thunderbolt fell on a part of the floor where down to the present day a bronze jar stood to cover the place. Loss and destruction. According to Suetonius, the Roman Emperor Caligula gave orders that such statues of the gods as were especially famous for their sanctity or their artistic merit, including that of Jupiter at Olympia, should be brought from Greece in order to remove their heads and put his own in their place. Before this could happen, the emperor was assassinated in AD 41, His death was supposedly foretold by the statue, which suddenly uttered such a peal of laughter that the scaffolding collapsed and the workmen took to their heels. In 391 AD, the Roman Emperor Theodosius I banned participation in pagan cults and closed the temples. The sanctuary at Olympia fell into disuse. The circumstances of the statue's eventual destruction are unknown. The 11th century Byzantine historian Georgius Gudrinus records a tradition that it was carried off to Constantinople, where it was destroyed in the Great Fire in the palace of Lasus in AD 475. Alternatively, perished along with the temple, which was severely damaged by fire in AD 425. Earlier loss or damage is implied by Lucian of Samosata in the later 2nd century. They have laid hands on your person at Olympia, my lord high thunderer, and you had not the energy to wake the dogs or call in the neighbors. Surely they might have come to the rescue and caught the fellows before they had finished packing up their loot. The approximate date of the statue of the 3rd quarter of the 5th century BC was confirmed in the rediscovery of Phidias' workshop in 1954 through 1958. The site, more or less where Pausanias said the statue of Zeus was constructed. Archaeological finds included tools for working gold and ivory chippings, precious stones, and terracotta molds. Most of the latter were used to create glass plaques and to form the statue's robe from sheets of glass, naturalistically draped and folded, then gilded. A cup inscribed, "I belong to Phidias," was found at the site.
Thank you. Please look for the next episode on this series very soon.